Imagine a machine that lets people go back into their own memories. Not just remember them, but actually live them again, exactly how they happened. The sounds, the sights, the feelings, everything feels real. In the entire world, only one person has this machine. His name is Nick Berenstain. He's a private investigator living in a future where the Earth has changed. Because of global warming, sea levels have risen, and many places are now underwater. Miami is one of those cities. The streets are flooded and people travel by boat. Life is hard. The city is divided into two parts. On one side, the poor live in slums surrounded by water. On the other, the rich have built dry and safe colonies for themselves. Nick lives in this world, helping people escape reality for a while using his invention, a powerful memory machine called Reminiscence. It was originally built by the military to pull memories from prisoners during interrogations. But Nick improved it. Now anyone who lies down in the machine can visit their past memories as if they're really there. At the same time, Nick can watch their memories appear in front of him as holograms with sound and detail. People come to Nick to relive the best moments of their lives. Some want to see loved ones again, others just want to feel happiness from the past. Nick treats every client with kindness. One man visits often just to play with his dog again. He enters the machine, sees his dog, spends some time with it, and then quietly leaves, happy to have felt that love again. But Nick isn't just a businessman, he's also heartbroken. One day, he finds out his girlfriend has left him, disappeared without a word. Devastated, Nick decides to use his own machine again and again, going back to all the memories they shared. He's trying to figure out why she left and where she might have gone. He watches their conversations, their adventures, hoping to catch some clue in what she said or did. There's one special thing about Nick's machine. It only starts if he sings a particular song. It's a secret password only he knows. If he doesn't sing it, the machine won't work. That's how he keeps it protected. Nick wasn't working alone. His assistant, Watts, helped him run the memory machine. She was smart, loyal, and always supported Nick during every session. One day, a woman named Elsa came in. She was a regular visitor. Elsa had lost her boyfriend in a tragic accident and missed him deeply. The only way she could feel close to him again was through Nick's memory machine. She came often just to relive those warm moments, especially the feeling of his touch, something she could never forget. After helping so many people reconnect with their past, Nick was tired. He shut down the machine for the night and prepared to head home. But just as he was leaving, a young woman named May walked in. She had lost her keys and wanted to go back into her memories to find them. Now Nick had a rule. Once the machine was off for the day, he never restarted it for anyone. He was known to be strict about this, but something about May changed him. As soon as he saw her, he smiled. There was a spark. For the first time, he broke his own rule. He asked Watts to turn the machine back on just for May. Watts noticed this sudden change and was surprised, but also happy. She could see that Nick was starting to like May. May lay down inside the memory machine, and the search for her keys began. Inside her memory, she saw herself singing at a club. She worked as an opera singer. That's where she had forgotten her keys. Nick was mesmerized by her voice. He didn't want the session to end, so he kept watching and listening, letting her song play all the way through. He didn't wake her up until the last note ended and she stopped singing. It was clear Nick had fallen for her. As soon as May woke up, she rushed out to go retrieve her keys from the club. But in her hurry, she forgot one of her earrings near the machine. Nick picked it up and quietly kept it with him. That small piece reminded him of her. Later at home, Nick couldn't stop thinking about May. Her face, her voice, it stayed with him. Even though he tried to distract himself, he couldn't shake her from his thoughts. Trying to focus, Nick went to the police station. He often worked with the police, using the memory machine to find the truth in criminal cases. By watching people's memories, Nick could tell whether someone was lying or innocent. At the police station, we see two wealthy men, Wader and his son, Sebastian. They belong to one of the richest families in the city. When they spot Nick there, they quickly leave without saying anything. After finishing his work at the station, Nick heads straight to the bar where May sings. He quietly listens to her beautiful voice, and once her performance ends, he walks up to her and returns the earring she had left behind near the memory machine. While talking, Nick asks May about her boyfriend. That's when May reveals something that surprises him. She's single. Hearing this, Nick begins to flirt with her, and May seems to enjoy his company. She invites Nick to her home, and that night they grow close and spend intimate time together. Soon, they both fall deeply in love. They promise to stay with each other through everything, no matter what. The next morning, Nick wakes up in May's house. As they talk, May opens up about her life. She explains that she's living in this small place because she made a deal with a dangerous dangerous mafia. That's also why she sings at the club. It's part of the deal. May tells Nick that she dreams of living in her peaceful beach house, but she can't go there because of the threats from the mafia. Suddenly, something strange happens. Nick blinks and wakes up inside the reminiscence machine. It turns out everything we just saw was one of Nick's own memories. May had left him a long time ago, and ever since, Nick has been using the machine over and over to relive the time he spent with her. His assistant Watts is there watching him. She looks worried. She tells Nick that using the machine too often is dangerous. It can damage the mind and make it hard to know what's real. But Nick doesn't listen. He tells her that May disappeared without any explanation, and he's been searching for her ever since. The machine is the only way he feels close to her now. Watts pleads with him to take a break, but Nick refuses. He hasn't rested since May left. All he wants is to find out why she left and where she went. He's talked to many people who knew May, trying to piece together her story, but no one seems to know anything. He's desperate for answers, and so he keeps diving deeper and deeper into his memories, hoping for even the smallest clue that might lead him back to the woman he still loves. One day, Nick was sitting quietly in his office, lost in the memories of May. He was replaying every beautiful moment they had spent together. But then, knock, knock. Someone knocked on his office door. Nick got up and opened it, but no one was there. The street was silent. But on the ground just outside the door, he saw something that made his heart stop. It was an earring, May's earring. He picked it up slowly, his mind racing. She had been here. He was sure of it. The earring was real. May had come back. But why didn't she knock properly? Why didn't she stay? Where did she go? Confused and hopeful, Nick showed the earring to Watts and told her what happened. But Watts didn't believe it. She knew Nick had been obsessed with May ever since she disappeared. She gently suggested that maybe he was imagining things again. She thought the earring might have just fallen there earlier, and now, caught up in emotion, Nick was connecting it to May. Watts didn't want to argue. She focused on the case they had been called for. The police had arrested a man named Miles, someone who had close ties to a powerful crime ring. They believed Miles had information about a major lord, so they wanted Nick and Watts to help by diving into Miles' memories using the reminiscence machine. Nick agreed. They set up the machine and connected Miles to it. As Nick entered the memories, he was taken back 5 years into Miles's past. What he saw shocked him. In those memories, Miles was working with a ruthless mafia leader named St. Joe. Joe was well known for running dangerous operations in the city, especially around the poorer districts. One day, Nick watched a scene from Miles' memory where St. Joe and his men were at a local bar to finalize a deal. That bar looked familiar because May used to sing there. And then Nick saw her. May was singing on stage just like she used to, but this time something was different. St. Joe saw her, and from the moment he laid eyes on her, he wanted her. He wasn't the kind of man you could say no to. And May, she was trapped. Nick watched helplessly as May slowly got pulled into Joe's dangerous world. She tried to survive, but the deeper she got, the harder it was to escape. Eventually, she became dependent on the very thing St. Joe was dealing. The woman Nick loved, full of dreams and music, had been consumed by the darkness she couldn't outrun. For Nick, this moment changed everything. May hadn't just left. She had been pulled into something terrifying. Back in the present, we see Miles trying hard to wake up from the reminiscence machine, but Nick doesn't let him. He forces him to stay in the memory, pushing for answers. And then, something shocking appears. In one of Miles's memories, Nick sees May again. This time, she's running away with a large amount of St. Joe's. That one moment changes everything for Nick. Now he knows May wasn't just stuck in Joe's world. She stole from him. Nick becomes even more determined to find the truth. He immediately goes to confront St. Joe. Pretending to be a friend of Miles, Nick tries to get close and ask about May. But Joe isn't fooled. He quickly realizes Nick is only there to dig up information. Furious, Joe orders his men to beat Nick and even tortures him, holding him underwater to break him. But Nick doesn't give up. Even in pain, all he asks about is May. He doesn't care about the or Joe's threats. He just wants to know why May ran and what happened to her. That's when Joe says something that hits Nick hard. According to Joe, May is nothing but a thief. He warns Nick that she probably stole something from him too, and maybe even pretended to love him just to get what she wanted. Nick is confused. He can't believe it. What could May have possibly stolen from him? What was the truth behind her love? Before Joe's men can kill Nick, Watts suddenly storms in, armed and furious. She takes down Joe's men one by one, saving Nick just in time. She drags him out, badly hurt, and takes him back to their office. But even after nearly dying, Nick isn't ready to stop. He thanks Watts, but goes straight back into thoughts of May. He wants to use the reminiscence machine again to find out what May came to steal. Watts tries to stop him, and then she tells Nick something he didn't know. May came to visit her the day before she disappeared. She brought a bottle of beer as a gift. What May didn't know was that Watts had once been an alcoholic. Her drinking had destroyed her life and even cost her the life of her son. She had sworn never to drink again. Seeing that beer shook Watts emotionally, she excused excused herself, went into the bathroom, and cried. While Watts was in the bathroom, May made her move. Nick looks into Watts' memory and sees it clearly. May quietly got up, walked to the storage room, and stole something. She didn't take just anything. She took Elsa's memories. Elsa, the same woman from the beginning of the story, the one who came often to relive moments with her lost boyfriend. But why? Why would May steal the memories of someone else's love? Nick is stunned. None of this makes sense. Hoping for answers, he rushes to Elsa's home. But when he gets there, he hears something that shocks him to his core. At Elsa's home, Nick speaks with one of her friends, and the truth hits him like a storm. Elsa is dead. She was murdered brutally just a short time ago, and the very next day, a woman had come and taken away Elsa's young son. Nobody knew who she was, but the description fits someone Nick knew all too well: May. Nick immediately realizes, if anyone would risk everything to protect a child, it would be May. She loved kids, and despite everything, she still had a good heart. This had to be her. Nick rushes to Elsa's house to find clues, but as soon as he arrives, a man appears from the shadows and without warning attacks him viciously. The man beats Nick down, warning him to stop looking for May. Nick, weak and bleeding, has no idea who this stranger is or why he wants him out of the way. Lying on the ground, Nick hears the man make a phone call. He tells someone, Nick won't be a problem anymore. Then he disappears. When Nick regains consciousness, bruised and confused, he stumbles back to the lab. He uses the reminiscence machine to scan his own memory and extract the attacker's face. Watts helps him identify the man, and what they discover is chilling. The man is an undercover police officer, but in reality, he's dirty, deeply involved in illegal activities. He worked for St. Joe and carried out violent tasks, including murders. He's corrupt and dangerous, the kind of person who eliminates anyone who gets too close to the truth. Now, desperate for answers, Nick and Watts head to the police station, but on the way, they get caught in the middle of a massive protest. Crowds of angry, poor citizens are flooding the streets. They're protesting the death of Walter, the city's wealthiest businessman. Before his sudden death, Walter had promised to give a large portion of his dry land to the poor so they could escape the flooded slums. But after his death, all his property went to his son Sebastian and his wife, and they had no intention of sharing anything. As Nick watches the protest, something catches his eye and stuns him. Walter's wife. Her name is Tamara, and Nick recognizes her. She was his very first client back when he first started using the reminiscence machine. She had come to relive something personal and important, but Nick had never known what it truly was. Now determined to find the truth, Nick rushes back to the lab. There he searches Tamara's old memory sessions. What he finds leaves him shaken. Tamara's husband Walter had been secretly seeing Elsa. Elsa wasn't just another client, she was Walter's lover. And the man whose memory Elsa came to relive again and again, the one she missed so deeply, was Walter himself. Then it all clicks. Elsa's son was Walter's son too. Which means if Walter died suddenly and Elsa was murdered just after and their child was taken, this isn't random. This is a chain of events. Nick starts piecing it together. Someone wanted to erase all traces of Elsa and her child, maybe to protect Walter's legacy or to keep the inheritance from falling into the hands of the poor. As Nick sits there, overwhelmed by the weight of what he's just discovered, Watts quietly walks in and everything begins to unravel. After speaking to Watts, Nick finally learns the name of the man who attacked him: Booth. Booth wasn't just any dirty cop. He had a long history of working in the shadows, carrying out hits for powerful people. He had killed for money, for silence, and for fear. And one of his past employers, none other than Walter. Suddenly, the pieces start falling into place in Nick's mind. Walter, the respected businessman, had been running illegal operations behind the scenes for years. And to hide his tracks, he used Joe, the dealer May got trapped with. Booth worked under Joe, taking out threats and cleaning up messes. So when Joe was killed, Booth must have snapped, furious, unstable, and ready to take his anger out on anyone who got too close to the truth, including Nick. Desperate for clarity, Nick heads straight to Tamara, Walter's wife, and the truth she shares leaves him reeling. Walter never loved Elsa. He used her. It was just a fling for him until she got pregnant. When Elsa told Walter she was going to have his child, he panicked. Instead of taking responsibility, Walter broke off all contact. Worse, he sent people after her. He tried to have her killed. Elsa was left alone, heartbroken and hunted. Hearing this, Nick is sick with anger. He now knows Elsa didn't just die, she was eliminated. Just then, Walter's son Sebastian walks in. When he hears Nick asking questions about his father, he panics and throws Nick out of the house. He's scared of what Nick might uncover. Outside, Nick starts looking for May again. His thoughts are racing. Every path leads back to her. Then, he sees her, or at least someone who looks like her. He follows the woman through dark alleys, narrow lanes, until he ends up face to face with Booth. It was a trap. Booth had used the woman to lure Nick here. He smirks, knowing Nick is desperate to find May. Booth knows where she is, but he's not about to tell Nick anything. Nick snaps. Fueled by rage and love, he lunges at Booth, but Booth is already running, diving through a window, escaping into the ruins of an old building by the flooded coast. Nick chases him down. The two crash into a decaying room filled with broken furniture and seawater rising beneath the floorboards. The fight is brutal. Fists slam into walls, bodies are thrown with fury. Everything moves fast, wild, raw. Then suddenly Booth's foot gets caught in a broken piano. With a loud crack, the piano shatters, and Booth plunges into the water below. Nick watches him sink. For a moment, he thinks of letting him drown. After everything Booth's done, maybe he deserves it, but no, Nick needs answers. He dives in, pulls Booth out of the water, and drags his unconscious body back to the lab. There, soaked and shivering, Nick straps Booth into the reminiscence machine. Now, first of all, Nick knows where he first met May. During that time, we come to know from Booth's memory that, actually, when May was trying to escape after stealing a duck from Joe, suddenly Booth's eyes fell on her, and the Booth also caught her. During that time, May feels that maybe now she will be killed, but we come to know from the Booth's words that he does not want to kill May, and he has some other work for May, and May will have to do that work for him if she wants to stay alive. Then May also, out of fear, am ready to do all the work for Booth. She agrees, and during that time we see Booth, who gives the task to May that she has to go to Nick and pretend to love him and steal the disc of a girl named Elsa from him, with the help of whose memories he could know where Elsa has hidden her child. Then May agrees to do this task, and as planned, first of all, she comes to Nick and pretends to love him, but later she really falls in love with Nick. That is why she decided to leave something with Booth, and she decided that she will not steal anything from Nick and will not cheat Nick under any circumstances. But after knowing this, Booth gets very angry and he starts hitting May very badly, due to which May gets very scared, and that is why she steals Elsa's disc even though she does not want to. But after that, she decided that she will never work with Booth again, nor will she ever meet him again. After handing over the wood disc to Booth, when May comes to know that Booth actually wants to kill the girl to whom this disc belongs and also her 5-year-old child, May decides that she will save Elsa and her son's life at any cost. Then she chases Booth and somehow reaches Elsa and her son Freddie. But during that time, we see that Booth kills Elsa, and when he is about to kill Freddie, May reaches there, who directly takes Freddie with her and goes somewhere. And this was the time when May suddenly disappeared somewhere, and Nick became very worried about her. After which Nick started using his reminiscence a lot so that he can know where May must have disappeared and what was her problem with those people who used to live in the area around her in the past. And you will also remember that suddenly one day, Nick felt that May was outside his lab, but when he went outside, he did not find anyone there. He just found May's fallen earring, which he picked up and took with him. At that time, May had come there, and she had come there so that she could take Nick with her to the same location where she had kept Freddie, and she had also decided that this time, she will tell Nick the whole truth and will always stay with him. But before Nick could reach the gate at that time, Booth suddenly came there and took May with him forcefully. That is why Booth took out her earring and packed it, because he knew that as soon as Nick gets that earring, he will start searching for May again. Inside the reminiscence machine, Nick watches the final, heartbreaking memory from Booth's mind. Booth had taken May to the top floor of a tall, empty building, cold, isolated, and silent. She was terrified, but she didn't show it. Booth tried to act calm, but his plan was cruel. As they talked, he handed May a dose of strong slowly forcing her to lose control. His goal was simple: break her down so she'd finally tell him where Freddie, the child, was hiding. May could feel it happening. Her thoughts began to blur. The drugs were working fast, and in that moment, she realized the awful truth. She wasn't going to survive, but May wasn't afraid for herself. She was afraid for Freddie, and she knew there was still one hope left: Nick. She looked straight ahead and, with fading strength, whispered a message. Not to Booth, but to Nick. She said, "I've hidden Freddie at my favorite place. I know you'll save him." She said it with full trust. She knew that Nick would eventually capture Booth, place him in reminiscence, and see these exact words. Then, without hesitation, May turned, walked to the edge of the building, and jumped. Nick watched the memory unfold inside the machine, and when May fell, his heart shattered. He screamed in pain. Tears streamed down his face as he realized how much May had truly loved him. She never betrayed him. She only ever wanted to protect an innocent child, and now she was gone. But her message gave him a mission: save Freddie. Before doing anything anything else, Nick turned to Booth, still strapped into the reminiscence machine, and coldly said, "Now it's your turn." Nick forced Booth to relive his most painful memory. In it, Booth was once working under Joe, but one day Joe discovered that Booth had tried to help May escape. Furious, Joe brought his men and punished Booth in the cruelest way. They burned him alive. Nick watched as Booth's mind broke down, screaming in agony inside the memory. Again and again, Nick made him relive that horror, the fear, the pain, the fire. Booth's real body began to shake. He cried out, begging for mercy, but Nick didn't stop. And finally, after suffering through his worst memories over and over, Booth died. His heart gave out. His mind couldn't take it. Nick stood there, silent, staring at the man who had caused so much pain. But now Booth was gone. In the final chapter of the story, we see Nick, broken but determined, leave the lab and head straight to confront Sebastian. And then the final truth comes out. Through Nick's words, we learn that it wasn't Walter who ordered Elsa and her son to be killed. It was Sebastian. Walter, despite his past in the illegal business, had changed. He had shut down his shady operations and wanted to fix what he could. He truly cared for Elsa and their son. Though their relationship was complicated, he had planned to leave a part of his property for them, a final act of redemption. But when Sebastian found out his father had an illegitimate child, everything changed. Blinded by greed and pride, he didn't want to share a single piece of the inheritance. So first he murdered his own father, and then, to wipe out all traces of the child, he hired Booth to kill Elsa and her son. Now Nick knows everything. He stands face to face with Sebastian and threatens to expose him. Then, without wasting a moment, he rushes to the police station, tells them everything about Sebastian, and reveals where May had hidden Freddy. The police launch a rescue mission and finally find Freddy, safe inside a white house in the middle of a flooded neighborhood. The same house Freddy often visited in his childhood memories. Thanks to May's courage and Nick's persistence, Freddy is saved. Word spreads. People learn the truth about Sebastian's crimes. His reputation collapses. Angry citizens storm his estate and the police arrest him. His stolen legacy is lost, just like the innocence he tried to destroy. Meanwhile, Nick returns to his lab. Time passes, but Nick never forgets May. He spends his days inside the reminiscence machine, reliving the moments they shared, walking with her, laughing with her, loving her. Scene after scene plays like a dream that never fades. Years go by. Nick grows old, but even as his body ages, his love stays young, in memories forever alive. And in that final image, we understand true love never dies. And that brings us to the end of the movie. If you enjoyed this explanation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel